So let me ask you, do you cheat on your wife?
Only when I have to. I was drunk and I'm Irish. I was angry.
Alexis on Fire.
Papa Roach, Wolf Mother, Chris Cornell, Fall Out Boy,
Lily Allen,
Korn,
and you're watching the Adlercast.
In 2002, tragedy struck the Drowning Pool family when they lost vocalist Dave Williams to heart disease. As a result, the band has featured different vocalists on all 3 records, the latest being longtime friend of the band, Ryan McCombs. And I spoke to Ryan, as well as founding member CJ Pierce, about Dave's death, as well as the war in Iraq and infidelity on the road. My name is Brian Adler, and this is Drowning Pool on the Adlercast.
We did the first half of the Ozfest tour, and Davey used to razz me nonstop. And even when my family would come out, like to the shows close to home for me, I'm from Indiana, he would even tease me about me to my family and make fun of me. He was always on. He'd come up and do Halo with us a bunch, and he was always on me to do bodies with him. And so finally, I was like, man, I gotta get this guy off my ass. So we talked about it. I was like, I'll be back home soon. You guys gonna be playing Indianapolis after I get home. It's only like an hour and a half away. I'll come out and I'll do bodies with you in Indy. We'll bring the whole family out and just have a good time. So he did that, and then he passed away that night after this show. So I actually did the last song of the last show with Davey and the boys on stage together. So it was cool.
It's pretty crazy,
Aren't you
right?
glad you did?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So Full Circle was your first record with the band. Actually, maybe I'll direct this to you, CJ. How do you think you did?
I think it's amazing. I'm happy. It was one of the easiest writing processes we've had so far.
It's awesome. I mean, I was out of music when I quit the band I was in before. I was out of music for about 9 months and really just didn't have any desire to get back in it. And it wasn't until these guys needed a singer and I was getting bit in the butt by the old music bug that it just lined up. It was time for me to get back into it, and these guys have been my best friends for years in the business, so it was just the right thing to do. It was a good matchup.
At the time that you decided to walk away from music, what was it that made you feel like you didn't want to be a part of it?
It was the business side of things. I mean, at the end of the day, and I know it's like, oh, wipe a tear away, but it's the bands, the musicians that employ everybody seem to be on the bottom end of the hill, on the bottom side of the hill. And we tend to, all the bad crap seems to run right over on top of us, and it's hard to stomach sometimes. It's hard to stomach being the one that's faces taking the blame for stuff, but at the same time, you're also getting the least bit of thanks or anything at this. It was just a hard thing to deal with business-wise. Everybody always trying to screw you over, and it was just hard to take that after a while. I mean, I'm just a small town, hillbilly, so it's hard for me to dive too far deep into that business world without getting a little frustrated. It was that, and I was just surrounded by a lot of jerks at the end of the day, so it was just time for me to kind of walk away and collect my head and go home and be a husband and a father.
So why come back? What was it about Drowning Pool that changed your mind?
I met these guys originally back in 2001 in Holland, and we just hit it off. I mean, it was always good times when we saw each other. There's so many different opportunities that came about when I first got out of music, and I was just so burnt on it that I had no interest in it, and it was just the right thing to do finally. It was the right situation for me.
I read that you had a conversation with Dave's parents that helped you to decide what you ended up doing.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if anybody's going to sing Davey's stuff, don't you think you'd want it to be you?
If you play that song and it puts you in the mind frame to be focused and come back home safe, by all means listen to whatever music, listen to our
Yeah, turn that
song,
thing up to
whatever.
11 if that means you're going to get home safe.
Yeah,